Dear students, today we are discussing the next metrics. Today we are discussing the General Electric or McKinsey metrics. But before discussing these metrics, I'd like to discuss with you very briefly why why scientists in the field of strategic management decided to create the new instrument of strategic management. And to understand it, we are coming back to the paper. Actually, we could take any BCG metrics because all the negative points of the BCG metrics is clear from this picture. Actually, we have two dimensions: market share, relative market share. I'm stressing one more time: relative market share and market growth. So I do hope that I persuaded you that market share is interrelated and interconnected with the competitiveness of the strategical business unit. So if we have bigger market share, relative market share, it means not only we have bigger volume of sales, but we are more competitive. If you are the new student and maybe somebody missed the previous lecture, please watch it because it is the key moment of these very metrics. Okay, so this is the measurement of competitiveness, but somewhere deep inside your mind, you understand that the relative market share is not the only marker, not the only characteristics to describe the level of competitiveness of strategical business unit. We have a lot of other important characteristics. And this dimension, market growth, with the help of this dimension, Boston Consulting Group tried to characterize the level of attractiveness of the market. So here, by this dimension, we are measuring our company, and here we are measuring the market, all the companies at some market. But you know that the market growth also is not the only characteristic of attractiveness of the market. There are a lot of other characteristics, for example, profitability, etc. So, the first limitation of the BCG metrics, which must be removed in other instruments, is that we have to increase the number of variables. Actually, there are a lot of, so it's rather difficult to combine everything into one variable, but there are a lot of techniques. But I will not discuss all the techniques here within this lecture because it is the subject of different course. But if somebody wishes, you can write about it in the chat, and I will send you links how to combine some variables, some set of variables into one variable. Then, actually, there are only 4 boxes, only 4. And if the company has a lot of strategical business units, it's better for us if there are more boxes, just to have more strategies, more typical strategies. Because here we have only 2 typical strategies, and if we have more strategies, it will be better for us. So the next limitation of Boston Consulting Group matrix, which was deleted in the next instrument, historically the next instrument of portfolio analysis, was connected with the fact that every dimension was divided not into 2 intervals but into 3 intervals. So we have 3 times 3, so we have 9 typical strategies. And the last but not least, actually from this picture we can see the volume of our sales. It is important. The situation, how to compare our strategical business unit with another companies, with another competitors for every strategical business unit. But it could be 2 situations here, for example. Here we have, we understand that relative market share is bigger than 1, so it means that our market share is the biggest market share at some market. But there are 2 possibilities. The first possibility is that we have, for example, 5% from the market, and the next company has just 3% from the market. And maybe you know that in the United States, the regulations connected with monopolies, they can find some some company as a monopoly if this company controls even 3% from the market, even 3%. You can find the information about it. So if it is this situation, it means that our market is very close to pure competition, and in this case we will have to choose some particular instruments of creating of competitive strategy. But it could be another situation. It could be a situation in the same how to say, this picture can reflect another possible situation. For example, we have 40, not 14, but 40% from the market, and the next company has 30% from the market. We will have in this situation the same picture, but the nature of competitiveness will be completely different. This is like oligopoly. So in this case we have to choose completely another instruments of creating strategies. You can say, Pavlo, dear professor, we can find everything from the table. Yes, I will say completely yes. But the last but not least idea of all the matrices of portfolio analysis is that with the help of these matrices, we are trying to make it obvious for everybody to present the portfolio of the company in the most obvious way. So maybe it is possible to choose a little bit another way of presenting the markets. And McKinsey agency, they solved this problem also in the created instrument. So actually, at this picture, with the help of this picture, I tried to explain all the limitations of BCG matrix, and all these limitations were fixed in the next instrument of strategic management. And now I'm switching to my today's presentation. Dear students, do you see my presentation now? Hello?
Yes,
Okay.
Professor.
We can see.
Yes.
So today we are speaking about the General Electric or McKinsey matrix. Why it has two titles? Just because this matrix was created by McKinsey agency, but historically this matrix was created for General Electric company. That's why in literature you can find both titles, both names of this instrument of strategic management. And actually, I even cannot say you what is more frequent. Approximately 50 to 50. One half call this instrument to, okay, let's 1/3 call it as General Electric matrix, 1/3 call it as McKinsey matrix, and the last 1/3 call it as General Electric McKinsey matrix, just mixing two titles. I'm stressing one more time that we are using this matrix for one diversified company. Please remember the funny picture from my previous presentation. When you saw some food on the shelf. Actually, maybe there are some possibilities to use these metrics for some different purpose. I don't know, don't ask me. Now we are speaking only about how to use these very metrics in the classical way. And this matrix is used in the classical way for a diversified company, and with the help of these metrics, managers choose the investment priorities for a diversified company. This company was used for General Electric company, this matrix, and when McKinsey agency was invited to analyze the portfolio of this company, they realized that the portfolio is not big, it is huge, and they tried to mix all the strategical business units into the sets of strategical business units, but still it was a lot of the problems, and I mean with the BCG matrix, and they understood that actually this screen were made from the official site of General Electric company, you can check it, and they realized that they had to create the new instrument of portfolio analysis and the new instrument for creating investment priorities. And they created the new, I would say that it's not like the completely new instrument. I would say that it is like the new generation of BCG matrix, because actually we have here at this X, we have not only this X also characterize the competitiveness of the strategical business units. In other words, it characterizes the business unit strength. But in BCG matrix, they used only a relative market share. And McKinsey agency, they mentioned, okay, we will speak about it in a minute, but just to prepare your mind, they told that, okay, but the relative market share is not the only characteristics of the competitiveness. And the same here by Vertical X, they measured the industry attractiveness or market attractiveness, and BCG, they used only one indicator of industry attractiveness, the market growth rate, but McKinsey agency, they said, okay, but we have to choose, we have to take into account not only the market growth rate, but we have to take into account the other characteristics. Also, we'll discuss it in a minute. And I'm answering to your question, how to combine different characteristics into one variable. There are a lot of possible instruments, but the discussion is beyond our course. If somebody wishes, I can send some links, but as for me, it should be not better. The easiest way is to use some weighted coefficients, but I think that it's not the best way. The best way is to use the philosophy of AHP, analytical hierarchy process, for combining all the variables into one variable. This philosophy was created by Thomas Saaty, very famous actually philosophy, and the key idea of this philosophy is that we are comparing just pair of variables. So we are comparing all of the variables in pairs, so in couples. It is better for the decision-making person. It is easier actually, and that's why the results will be more objective. But generally, these metrics is like the sister from for the BCG metrics. And speaking a little bit forward, this matrix has not only boxes, but it has three zones, green, yellow, and red. Green is best, good position for strategical business unit. Yellow is like medium, and red is worse. And this is the best box, and this is the worst. And but this is zones. But anyway, McKinsey agency, they provided also the typical strategy for every box. And dear students, don't ask me why somebody presents with these very metrics in this very form. For me, it is very brain-breaking idea to have zero not here but here, okay, so here, so we have this dimension from the bottom to the top, but we have this dimension, sometimes, sorry, not from the left to the right, but from the right to the left. Somebody, you can find another way of presenting this matrix, and actually, I don't know why, half of scientists in the field of strategic management, they present these metrics in this way. In literature, you can find both types of these very metrics, and it doesn't mean that the scientists who present these metrics in this very form, it doesn't mean that they are from the Arabic world, that they are reading from the right to the left, not like we are used to reading from the left to the right. I don't know why. Just don't ask me. I don't know why it is so. Okay. We spoke about similarities. The similarities are that we have generally the same ideas for every dimension, but the differences is that but the creators of this matrix, they tried to widen the variables for evaluating every dimensions. And I am stressing one more time that we are creating these metrics for different strategical business unit of one diversified company. So, if speaking about industry attractiveness, the Boston Consulting Group, they used only the market growth, and the McKinsey agency, they said, okay, growth rate characterize the attractiveness of the market. Yes, we completely agree with the fact, but there are a lot of other characteristics. Speaking a little bit forward, you will have to create the metrics for your company, and it is rather difficult for you to combine everything into one. And frankly speaking, if you analyze a market and if you create these metrics for a business plan, it is very difficult work, and it will take, I think, not less than 1 month to create these metrics for your company. So it will be your expert choice, please. You have this growth rate from the previous metrics, so you can correct the previous estimation with the help of other factors, and it will be up to you to evaluate the attractiveness of the market. But please base your calculations at the basis of growth rate from previous task, from the BCG metrics. And the business unit strengths, it is also we have it in previous metrics, but here we have not only the relative market share, but we have a lot of other characteristics. Also, please take as a basic estimation the relative market share, and then you can change the estimation to the bigger or to the smaller result when creating the matrix. And the third limitation I presented you, that from the BCG matrix, it will be not possible to understand the absolute market share, and the McKinsey agency, they created the following philosophy, the following actually maybe philosophy it's too tough words for this. Okay, the possible way to present the idea. So we have a circle, and the diameter of the circle is in the proportion to the volume of sales, and here by green we have the market share of our company. So here we can see the two possible ways. You see, in BCG matrix, these two circles will be like close, and it won't be possible to understand is it the pure competition at this market or it is the monopoly of this market. And here we can see that here is monopoly, and here we have a very small part of the market. So this is the general circle is the volume of sales, but not for our company, but for all the market. And the share of our company, of our strategical business unit, is presented in green. Okay, and generally you will see something like this for your company, something like this, and this is your task to create these metrics, and you have to put all the strategical business unit from the previous task. Also, all the strategical business units must be presented at these very metrics. Okay, and speaking about the strategies, I'm not asking you to create the strategies, but generally when you have these metrics, then the next step is creating the investment strategies with the help of the metrics. And first of all, by the first step, we are defining the zones, green, yellow, or red. So it is like attractive zone, something in the middle, and an attractive zone. And then it is possible to use the typical strategy for every box. Actually, the general idea is that we have to invest if we have strategical business zone in green, and we have to begin with these very strategical business units in this box, and only having supported the strategical business units here, it is possible for us to support strategical business units here. So this is the sisters of cash cows, but also they have a little bit different strategies for every strategical business unit. For example, the McKinsey agency, they are providing the piece of advice to support these strategical business units and harvest these, and we can only harvest strategical business units in red zone. And also, if we don't have enough money, it will be not only harvesting but also even divesting strategical business units if we have some strategical business unit here in this very box. But I'm stressing one more time that we are speaking about divesting or exiting from the market only in the case if we need the investments to support our strategical business units here. Because last lecture, I set you a couple of examples that generally it is possible for a company to stay in the business and still have profitability. So if we need additional money, we are divesting these strategical business units. If not, we are just harvesting it, and that's all. And generally, I generally presented this screen. So there are three typical strategies: to grow, to hold, and to harvest. And generally, there are some typical strategies for every box or for every cell. They named these parts as cells. So it is the same that X is successful strategical business units, Y is some medium strategical business units, and Z is disappointing strategical business units. It's funny, like Z is disappointing. I began to think about it only now, that this situation that we have now in our country. I'm sorry for this sad joke, but still it is the same, disappointing. And generally for every sale they have the typical strategy which is presented here at this very screen. So generally, if we are in the top, we have to support our company, because I told you, if we without the support, the company became less competitive, because other companies will increase the market share. It is completely the same with the BCG metrics. Here for cells 2 and 4, it is to another green sectors. It means that if we have enough money, we can also support these strategical business units, but only having supported the strategical business units from the cell number 1. For yellow, for strategical business units 3, 5, and 7, we have to manage these boxes selectively. It means that if we have enough money after supporting all the strategical business units in the green zone, it is possible to maybe to increase the competitiveness of some strategical business units here. You know that it's not possible to change the attractiveness of the market. It is like the objective characteristics of the market. We cannot change it, but we can change the competitiveness of our company. So with the help of investments, it is theoretically possible. So if we have enough money, we can support these strategical business units. For cells number 6 and 8, the typical strategy is to, first of all, to avoid investments into these. We have to harvest these strategical business units, and if we do not have enough money, we can sell these strategical business unit. And the typical strategy for the ninth box, it is the worst box. So the typical strategy is to go out, to exit from this very business. All these strategies are presented at this very picture. You can check. I just presented this picture just to make all the strategies a little bit more obvious. And the advantages are that we fix all the limitation from BCG matrix, but the disadvantages is that this approach is much more difficult compared with BCG matrix, because when we are building BCG matrix, we are using just two variables, that's all, and here we have a set of variables for every dimension. This is the most important disadvantage of this very instrument, and that's why it requires a specialist in the field. It's more difficult and more costly to conduct, and also, but it is the disadvantage also for a BCG matrix that it doesn't take into account the synergies between different strategical business units. But we will discuss it a little bit later in our next module, in our third module, when we speak about the synergy. When we speak about synergy, and the task for you. You have to create something like this for your company. So I will not ask you about the why you decided to bigger or to smaller your estimation, but I will check the correlation between this picture and the previous picture with the BCG matrix. Okay, I'm stopping our